My newest time-saving tool is this guillotine paper cutter. Now, here's why I love it. This is 2 packages of construction paper. So this is 100 sheets of construction paper. You just put it into place. You clamp it down so that it doesn't move when you are cutting it. And then there's a safety release because this is really sharp. And then it will cut through both packages of paper with one clean cut, just like that. This has been a huge time saver for cutting things like strips of paper, for doing stacks of paper, for shapes. It has just been great. Now, I had seen art teachers using this on Instagram and figured this is something that my school couldn't afford, but this is actually just $150 on Amazon. I will link it in the comments down below. Now, one thing to note is I think I have the largest one and it's only 17 inches. So you would still need access at least to a regular size paper cutter as well. This one also comes in a smaller size, which is less of a cost. Now, I've only had this for a few months. One thing that I have noticed is that the ruler at the top is a little bit hard to line things up with. You just kind of have to double check things. It's not super duper user friendly, but other than that, it's been a great time saver. My favorite clay time-saving tool is this multi-slab cutter. You simply just press this down onto a block of clay and it cuts even slabs for you in no time. I prep this ahead of time for my students by using Dollar Tree cutting mats and putting that between the clay. And then I simply just pass out a little mat with a clay slab on top to each one of my students. Are you even a teacher if you don't love laminating things? I think everyone should have their own personal laminator. The brand that I like is Scotch, and this model is great because it's 17 inches. So you can buy the extra large pouches that they have. I use this size for laminating my objective posters and my teacher examples. This fits like a size of construction paper. Another size that I often buy, because it comes in different sizes, is this size here. And I use this for my job tags. It's a really thick, durable lamination. It's not what you typically find in a school. A smaller size, I pick these ones up for labels around my art room, and they really last and hold up. The size that I buy the most frequently is the size of a sheet of paper, whether I'm using this for inspiration ideas for my students that I laminate or steps in a project. It is just a great, fast, easy way to do this. So the pouch is open on 3 sides. You just open it up, you put in your handout. This way the handouts and things that you're making are lasting for years, which is saving you time that you don't have to keep making new copies. You feed it through the laminator and it just seals the pouch closed. As it comes out on the other side, it's not even that hot to the touch. Within a few seconds, you could easily pass it out to students and they could use them. So there's no giant rolls of lamination and having to cut out in between things. It's just simply a kind of plug and play, slide that through there. It's laminated, it's ready to use in your art room. Super easy to use, time-saving tool is a slides remote. Why this is wonderful as an art teacher is you can keep your eyes on your students and you can even move around in your room while you are changing your slides. Now, I love this because sometimes I will be walking around my room, setting out supplies for that class, and I could be teaching and showing my students the slides at the very same time. One of my favorite time-saving tools. You are a professional and you deserve to have the proper tools to do your job. However you're putting up artwork and taking it down, you need the proper tools. One thing that I've used in the past for hanging up art shows is a handheld tape dispenser. Now, I do have on my wish list a double-sided tape dispenser that's kind of like this. Definitely hoping I get that this Christmas. On my desk, I always have these Swingline red staplers. If somebody else comes into your room and they ask to borrow your stapler, you just say it's on my desk and it's red. And even amongst all the mess, they can find this. It's heavy duty. I've had this for years. You can use it to hang up artwork as well. On your desk, you should have a heavy tape dispenser so that it's very easy to pull off the tape and to use it. I've even seen teachers have where multiple rolls of tape can go on the same roll. If you're constantly using tape, that would be something that'd be worth investing in. If you are doing things where you are cutting out shapes for students, go for heavy duty tools like this circle cutter that will cut more than one at a time. It took me forever to invest in a really solid 3-hole punch. This one punches 40 sheets of paper at once. I had one that did maybe 2 or 3 sheets at a time in the past, and it just took me forever when I was adding things into my 3-ring binders. This just streamlines the process. I do a lot of cutting, and I like to use the spring-loaded scissors that have that little spring in there to save your hands. These are from Fiskars. I have multiple pairs of these in my art room just for teacher use. And think also about tools that can help you with cleanup. If you're constantly having to clean your tables off, I would recommend getting a heavy-duty scraper similar to what your custodians probably use to help you with that task. Another super tool for art teachers is electric scissors. Watch how easily this cuts through cardboard. I use this when I am cutting burlap for sewing. I use this when I'm cutting the felt chair socks for my chairs. I use this during the holidays. We make snowflakes by gluing 8 paper bags together. This cuts through 8 paper bags. Not only does it save you time, but it saves your hands. I often will hang up artwork using these cork strips in my school, so I'm putting them up with a stapler. So having a really good staple remover, and this one is really good, is worth the investment. If you think a staple remover is that little claw thing, this will blow your mind. You simply just slide this underneath the staple and then pop it right out. It takes just a second. I also recommend getting a handheld paint cup to use as your trash can for all of your staples, so you're not putting the staples in your hand. To the extent that you can, make your supplies easily accessible to your students. One of the ways that I do this is that I have an art buffet. So these are materials that stay out every day, all year long, so students know right where they are when they need them. This is where we keep our decorative scissors, our hole punches, our rulers, our permanent markers, extra lids for our permanent markers, our glue sticks, a whole container of extra glue stick lids should we need them, extra pencils. And this is so that students can get these materials out easily. They can also put them away very easily. You may want to keep things such as Band-Aids easily accessible to your students. I hated stopping what I was doing and having to go to my desk drawer to give somebody a Band-Aid. We all know that sometimes kids actually get cut and are bleeding in art, but also there's just like emotional wounds. Okay, whatever they need a Band-Aid for, it's much easier if they can just get it themselves, unless of course it's a true emergency. I like to have baby wipes and real paper towels available so students can easily help me clean up. I always keep crayons and markers easily accessible and in the same spot in my room so students know where to find them when we need them for projects. I have an area of my room called Pennsylvania where all the pencils live. The students know the expectation of how to get the pencils out of there and distribute them to tables, but also exactly how they need to go back. Our scissors are on the closet door. Each one is in its own pouch so we can visually see easily if one is missing when we go to clean up. We do something very similar with our erasers, that they're in ice cube trays. So if one is missing, we know this at the end. Another way that you can distribute supplies is by using a supply table or maybe a little station in your room. For me in kindergarten and first grade, we don't use all 8 tables for students. We have one table that we keep empty, and then that's where we put our supplies. So students know always to look there for the supplies that we're using, and then that is the same spot where supplies need to go back. I'm super lucky that I have these drawers, one for each grade level, and I keep the current papers and materials that we're using for our projects. So when my upper grades are in the art room, I simply just leave the drawers open, and then students can come here to access lesson materials or paper that they may need for the project. What I love about this is I'm not moving anything around. And cleanup is just simply closing the drawer. My favorite free time-saving tool as of late is ChatGPT. One of the ways I've been using it is to generate lists. For example, I like to have students illustrate an animal pun. Now, if I did this on Google, I could spend an hour easily looking around on different websites, finding these different animal puns. On ChatGPT, I simply can put in the request, and seconds later, I have a complete list. Now, you don't have to take the list just as it comes back to you. You can go back and forth with ChatGPT. So you could ask it to refine the list and only include common animals, or only include puns that would be easy to illustrate. And you can remove different ones that you don't like and ask that they replace those within the list. So there's a lot of back and forth where you can modify things and really get it personalized to you. In the art room, another great application would be for rubrics and for worksheets. If you've got to draft an email or something like that and you're not really sure where to start, ChatGPT can definitely help with that. Newsletters, writing down like contest rules, things like that would be great to do in ChatGPT. And of course, you will personalize it, you will proofread it, you'll go back and forth and modify it as needed. What's amazed me is that over time, ChatGPT has gotten to know me, and in some of the answers that I'm now getting from ChatGPT, they're pulling from things that I've searched before or things that I've shared that I do in my art room. They're giving it back to me as ideas in my list. So it's really amazing. It works almost just like a free personal assistant. I sure hope this video was helpful to you. You can find some more art teacher time-saving tips in this next video.